All right, it is now my privilege to introduce Angela Paxton's husband. By the way, Ken, I wanted to do that to you, by the way, because I wanted to take your first line and see if you could adjust. No, it has been a pleasure to get to know General Paxton over the last 6 years since I've been in the legislature. You know, again, tonight's theme is courage, and I don't know that anybody in the political world in Texas has had the opportunity to show more courage over the last number of years than Ken Paxton. As the AG in the state, he always certainly has a target on his back, and Paxton has responded to his challenge with not only courage, but wisdom and, I believe, grace. During his tenure in office, he has won many cases on immigration, on school rights, on EPA rules, and religious freedom. He met his wife, Angela, the more famous of the two, while they were students at Baylor. They have 4 children, Tucker, Abby, Maddie, and Katie. Katie, if you would give a big round of applause for Attorney General Ken Paxton.
So I think James is a great MC, but I think Mike's right about the jokes. So a lot of people don't know, I'm from a county very similar to this. It's actually, when I ran for AG, I got my highest percentage in my runoff, 74% from this county. So it's very similar to the county I'm from. So thank you all for people that are from here. But a lot of people don't know that I'm from North Texas. They don't realize I represented North Texas in the legislature. But a lot of my friends do. They know that I come from a very conservative area that in my worst year, I think I got 72%. And the Democrats thought they were gaining ground on us. But then when I moved to Austin to become Attorney General, a lot of people were, really concerned because you all probably know that Austin is very Democratic, very liberal, and a little weird. And so my friends were very concerned that I'd moved to Austin and how it was going to affect me. And I said, it's really not that bad living in Austin because it's not that far from Texas. So it's good to be in Texas tonight. That even works in Austin, by the way, that line. So James, if you want to use it, you can use it in Austin. So I have several connections to the Texas Homeschool Coalition because and I don't want to say how many because Rick Perry taught me never to tell how many things you're going to talk about in case you forget one. So I'm just going to say I have several connections. I learned a good lesson from him because who hasn't forgot something that they're going to talk about. And then, of course, he ended up doing it on a national stage. I think he recovered, though, because he ended up as energy secretary, right? So I think it kind of worked out for him. Well, so one of my connections is actually, my closest connection was actually not Tim or the rest of his wonderful family, except for his daughter, Noelle, who was my first chief of staff. So when I knew nothing about the legislature, she came and worked with me actually for 2 sessions. And ultimately, I think she got paid like triple to go work for a law firm. So I have a very close connection from the very beginning of my time in the legislature to what you all are doing here. Of course, another close connection for me, and the reason I feel so tied to this organization is because you all have done something that I think is pretty unusual. And that is, you have stayed true to your mission. So many organizations that I see in Austin, sometimes I wonder, they are about this issue or this issue, and yet over time they get sort of co-opted by money or power or just wanting to be liked. It's just so hard to hold on because if you do that, sometimes you upset people. Wayne knows about that, don't you, Wayne? You upset people if you stick to what you started off doing, the principles that put you in this organization from the beginning. And the reason I'm here tonight is because this is one of the few organizations that I've seen consistently over and over and over. I know that they're going to stand by what they believe in. Tim, thank you for leading an organization that does that. Absolutely. It's very rare. And then finally, it just so happened we homeschooled all 4 of our kids. Now we tried different options. We did try the public schools. We also had them in private Christian school for a while because my wife was a guidance counselor and a math teacher there. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite stories about my wife and my kids, my first son, turns out, he was signed up for geometry, and my wife found out that Tucker was in her class. And so she went to Tucker and said, Tucker, you're going to be in my class. You're going to get treated just like everybody else. And I just want to know what you've heard about my class. And Tucker says, well, Mom, you know, I've heard that you are a really good teacher, that everybody likes you, that you're very nice, and that you give candy. And Angela's smiling, and she said, who told you that, Tucker? He said, well, Mom, you did. So that's how it goes in my family. But all of my kids were homeschooled for several years. And to give you hope, for those of you homeschooling, I'll tell you a little bit about my kids. I have Tucker is out in California. He's a software engineer. He started out designing video games for EA Sports, which is his lifelong dream. I told him he was wasting his time playing video games, and then he got paid to do it. And now he's actually he's designing self-driving cars for a company called Cruise, which is a GM sub, and he's doing pretty well. So at least one. Second one, Abby, is a second lieutenant in the Air Force. She trained as a nurse at Baylor, talked her way instead into intelligence after the Air Force paid for her to go to nursing school. So she's an intelligence officer, and she does combat search and rescue. And on the weekends, she's a pediatric nurse with a desire to someday be the first female special forces to go and rescue pilots, or maybe just a pilot. So we'll see what happens there. Second homeschooler. Now the third and fourth are a little more questionable because they graduated from high school, and unfortunately they did not go to college. They went to Texas A&M. I'm just kidding. I love Texas A&M. You cannot tell John Sharp I say that. He gets mad at me when I say that. But the truth is, Texas A&M and Baylor, my first two went to Baylor, and the tuition at A&M is less than half, so I'm very happy on a state salary that my kids are at A&M, and they love it. And they have both excelled. They both want to be teachers, which is nursing and teaching is very much a history in my family. And I think they've grown spiritually, and I think they're doing amazingly well at Texas A&M. So that joke, it really was a joke, James, really was a joke. Yeah, yes, thank you. I just want to quickly say thank you. Thank you for what you do for children. Thank you for saving Texas. Thank you for saving America. And actually when I talk about saving America, that's what you've already done. Saving Texas is what you're going to do. And I want to talk about how you've saved America really quickly. You've done it in really two ways. You've elected leaders like Dan Patrick and me who've gotten to go fight this fight against the federal government. 27 lawsuits that we took on Obama once a month while he was in office. We've had 11 since then that were post-Obama, like we sued over Obamacare, which we're going to win and get rid of. But I want to tell you about one case that set the stage, and it highlighted this whole debate. Every lawsuit we had was about one thing. And I'll give you the example of the case. It was an immigration case. It was actually filed by Governor Abbott literally a couple of weeks before he left office, 26 states. It's one of my first cases in like my second or third week. And we were asking for a preliminary injunction on basically an edict from the White House about immigration, making 4 million people here who were here illegally legal. And the president had said, Obama had said for 6 years he didn't have the authority to do that. And he said it in all kinds of different ways. And he said, I can't do it. It's up to Congress. I'm not an emperor. I'm not a king. I mean, all the right stuff. And then suddenly, November of 2014, guess what? He changes his mind and says, no, I'm going to change the law. Texas sues him. 25 other states join. We asked for an injunction to stop it all. Very hard to get. We get it. We had to show that we were going to suffer irreparable harm, that we would win if we went to trial. We'd likely win. And we showed that. So then the Justice Department takes us to the Fifth Circuit. We win again. Then they take us to the U.S. Supreme Court. Now we're in a little bit of a dicey situation because guess what? Scalia just passed away, and now we don't think we have the votes. We tie. We got Kennedy to go with us. We tie. And so the Fifth Circuit decision stands. Texas, along with 25 other states, stops Obama's one of his major initiatives and sets the stage for the rest of the battles. And what is that stage? Well, it's a couple of things. One, it's the first time, I think, in U.S. history that many states went after the federal government, that they aligned together and were successful. And Texas had the opportunity to show these other states that we could do it. We could take on DOJ. We go toe-to-toe. We had the resources. We had the talent. We had the desire. We had the tenacity. We would not give in. Because believe me, I had plenty of AGs on our side that after we won the first round said, let's just stop. We made our point. And I said, we haven't made our point until we win. And so we kept going. And so that case showed the resolve of Texas, the ability of Texas, but also it set a bigger stage, which was this whole idea of separation of powers and what was going to happen to our federal government, what was going to happen to our Constitution, because literally 4 justices told us that it was okay for the president to change the law. Just think about this. Congress is sitting over here on the sideline doing nothing about this. The president is changing law after law. He doesn't have Congress anymore, so he decides, I'm just going to start changing things myself. That's not how it was set up. That's not how the Constitution works. Congress changes law. And unfortunately, Congress didn't do anything about it. They could have defunded all of this stuff. They didn't do it. The courts, on the other hand, are sitting over here on the sidelines. They could do something about it, but they wouldn't either. They created this Chevron doctrine, which gave deference to the agencies. When they did something, it was assumed it was okay. And so taxpayers were at a complete disadvantage. And so what did that leave? That left the states. That left us. That left Texas to go fight the fight and win the battle. And so we did that. And we were able to preserve, as we fought all these cases, all these states realized we could do it. And so that's how we ended up with basically 38 cases against the federal government since I've been in office. And it was that whole principle. Every case is about something different. It's about EPA, it's about Department of Labor, it's about different issues. But fundamentally, it was about one thing. It was about the separation of powers. Are we going to keep the Constitution? Second time you guys stepped up to the plate was the election. The election was huge. Had we elected Hillary, we would have had a fifth justice, very similar to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We would have had the fifth justice that would have said, it's fine if the president changes the law. And at that point, we would have been post-constitutional. Done. No more separation of powers. All the powers moved away from the states, which it was reserved to the states. The Congress would have lost their power of making law. That would have been done at the executive branch through agencies, executive orders. It was but for Texas, we don't win that election. But for Texas, we don't stop it from even getting to that point by fighting with all these lawsuits. So my proposition to you is a small number of people who vote in the Republican primary, who elect the right leadership, who win general elections, then go fight for the entire country against this craziness of trying to end the Constitution. You all have made a tremendous difference. You saved America. But the battle is obviously not over. Here we are again. Trump is not doing what Obama did. But guess where the fight is now? The fight is with these guys. These guys pass great legislation, like voter ID, like redistricting, drawing our lines, which you elected them to do, like the dismemberment ban, so that they can't rip babies apart inside the womb and then say it's okay. The defunding of Planned Parenthood, which is a truly evil organization doing truly evil things. All of these things, when these guys pass this great stuff, guess what happens? The liberals now, they don't go to Obama to change things. They go to a liberal court. They pick the court. In Texas, usually a federal judge appointed by Obama or Clinton or sometimes even Bush, believe it or not. And then we have to go defend, and we always lose. We always lose the first round. But typically, we've helped them a little bit draft the legislation, and they've usually done a really good job of putting it out and defending it, and then we take it up to the Fifth Circuit. And so far, either at the Fifth Circuit or at the U.S. Supreme Court, we've won every single case, whether it's redistricting, voter ID, sanctuary city, and we've got more in the works, but we've never lost a case in the end. We always know we're going to lose it first, but that's the strategy. Try to get one judge to overturn what your elected representatives did. So that is the battle that we're now in, and that battle continues. And the reason I say that you now have to save Texas is these elections coming up, Dan talked about it, they're about Texas. But if we don't win these elections, if somehow we end up with a Beto, somehow we end up with a Democratic AG who doesn't defend anything that they do, who fights them, we're in a whole different world. We're no longer leading the nation, and who leads the nation but for Texas? So my encouragement to you tonight, as you're educating your kids and you are creating the warriors for the future, which is so important, is what me and my wife tried to do. Not just do it ourselves, but train our kids to do that as well. You all are doing that, but right now, today, you have to not only tell your friends, you have to tell everybody you know, make sure that they go defend Texas so that we can defend the country. Because without Texas, without you, it cannot be done. And I know that as we have taken on the federal government and beat them over and over and over, I mean, I'm not tired of winning. I hope you're not either. Thank you very much.
Really, it's just an honor to be able to have Lieutenant Governor Patrick and then Ken Paxton here, our AG, just awesome guy. Hey, I just got to tell you, so you know I went to A&M and you looked right at me when you said that. And you went to Baylor, your wife went to Baylor, and yet you have 2 kids, not 1, but 2 kids that went to A&M, which shows you that you are very much like all the parents in here. You want your kids to have it better than you did. What's that? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the funny thing is I have a freshman at Baylor, so jokes on me.